G'day folks and welcome to the Encounters Down Under podcast. I'm your host Anthony Goodall and I invite guests to the show to share their amazing encounters with aliens and UFOs. If you or someone you know has had an encounter down under or anywhere in the world for our new segment Encounters Unbound, please get in touch with me via the Encounters Down Under Facebook page or email at australianUFOsightings@outlook.com.au. Be sure to join the Encounters Down Under Facebook page and YouTube channel where you can also get involved during the live stream interviews, sharing your thoughts and opinions during the live show. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to give us a rating and review on your favourite listening platform. But anyway, that's enough from me. Let's get into what you've been waiting for. Kick back and relax with your favourite beverage and enjoy the show. This episode is available to view on our YouTube channel, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your thoughts on the episode.
Officials in the US defence and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
So I've got to be blunt about this.
Yeah.
You're not making this up. This is
No.
not a lie.
No, absolutely not.
Because everybody watching this right now is looking at your face. They're going, is this guy for real?
I am for real. And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
The Pentagon has released a statement to News Nation about this report. They say to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads. AARO, working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process for individuals to come forward with information to aid AARO in its congressionally mandated historical review. AARO's historical review of records and testimonies is ongoing and due to Congress by June 2024, and AARO welcomes the opportunity to speak with any former or current employee or contractor who believes they have information relevant to this historical review. And Elizabeth, we know that David Grusch, he's filed that whistleblower complaint. He's been on the record under oath testifying to many of these things that he said in our report tonight.
Right, and it's important to point out that this statement from the Pentagon, from AARO, Grush is alleging that this top secret program is keeping it a secret from Arrow.
Yeah, exactly. And if Grush is what he's saying is true, the spokespeople, all of those folks at that level wouldn't even know this was going on anyway.
All right, I got to ask you. He has a compelling story to tell. Very little of it seems like firsthand knowledge. Isn't he just repeating what somebody else has told him or somebody else has showed him?
Yes, that is what he's doing, but he says he's talked to a number of people who are in very, very high-level positions. He also had basically the highest level of classified material information that he was able to receive. We went back and checked over, his history, all of his credentials. Check out completely. Unfortunately, there's
in addition, a couple people have come forward publicly to vouch for him, people who are high-ranking.
They have, and this article first came out this morning, and I think it's interesting that, there hasn't been any sort of effort to discredit what he has said either from the Defense Department.
So interesting.
Right, guys, thanks for joining in. It's great to have you here back with me tonight. If you didn't join us in last night, we'll be covering again tonight regarding David Grusch and his whistleblower compilation here. And you just saw the clip there with the upcoming interview with David Grusch and Ross Coulthard, which I believe is coming out this Sunday or Monday. I'm still trying to track down the exact dates and times for this for you, which I will share when it comes to it. And I'll try and do a bit of a live party with that. But anyway, look, we're recovering this again tonight there. Triffon from Unlocking the Code is joining me tonight and wants to discuss this a little bit deeper and a bit further. And we're just going to be bouncing off each other here and whatnot and see what we come up with. So, yeah, guys, do by all means get in the comments there. Show us your opinions there. Got a few comments there at the moment, which we will cover that soon. But what better way to go and start this night off, mate, and get Triffon on here, join us tonight. And it's great to have you back there, mate. You've been a bit quiet lately. What's happened?
Yeah, you coaxed me out of my hole, mate. There's been plenty of people asking where the next podcast is coming, and it is coming. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus. However, yeah, you coaxed me out of my hole with that Instagram post the other day, and it was only a snippet of what I hadn't seen all of that. And I think it's very interesting. I think probably the most interesting part I heard was at the end where the DOD has not come out and said anything against what he's saying, right? And I suppose how much further down the rabbit hole do we have to be in before we believe this as a collective, And I must say, I did cheat a little bit. Kudos to Grant Navak. He's a good mate of ours. He runs the Unexplained Rundown YouTube channel, and he did a 45-minute show that I listened to tonight. So I'm going to be using some of his info, but listen to that episode. He's actually got a really good petition going as well.
Yes. Yeah, I was meant to mention that last night, actually.
Yeah. If you've got a link for that, let's put that in there somewhere, mate. I couldn't see where I've had it because I got kicked off Twitter. But that's a different story.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah.
Are you sharing disinformation?
No, yeah, I shared an inflammatory comment, and yeah, I got kicked off Twitter. So I have to do a whole appeal process and stuff, and that's part of the re-engagement. However, it's interesting, Ross is an Aussie. He's been doing this stuff for a long time. He's been at the coalface from his perspective for many years. And since we last spoke, I've actually had to watch a phenomenon. That's by, what's his name? I was listening to him earlier. James Fox. James Fox. Yeah. But I also have watched Moment of Contact, which you can only order through YouTube Premium, and it's well worth the $15. If you watch those two, the Phenomenon one had a bit of the Westall stuff as well. However, the information on this stuff it's almost overwhelming at this point. Me and you got together sometime last year, and how many episodes have we done now? That's how thick and fast. Yeah, that's how thick and fast that this stuff's coming out. Okay. And g'day to Aussie Sue. She said evening to us. So g'day, Sue. And Facebook user, I don't know who that is. So, however, I caught a little bit of your stuff last night, mate. But what, you're obviously assimilating this data day by day.
Yeah.
Is this what we've all been waiting for, mate? I suppose is the question.
Well, to be honest, we've already had this being released over the years by multiple whistleblowers.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that it's been agreed upon from Congress to come forward with this sort of information is what's the big bombshell at the moment
Mm.
because Congress is going, hey, yeah, look, release it. Obviously he's not going to go and start talking about, the classified sort of stuff, but even mentioning that we do have some sort of crafts there from a non-human species. That's something I would have thought would have been classified on its own. But he's obviously been allowed to go and say, "Hey, look, we've got something here." Now he hasn't claimed that they're ET, so I'm just going to point that out. Like if you watch the videos, there's nothing that's really saying it's ET, extraterrestrial. I think it's more implying
I
that
know
it's
what he
something
says,
that is
species from another
terrestrial.
planet or something is what he said. I think, do we have something from? It'd be interesting to go back. I'm pretty sure that Ross asked him, are they of an alien origin or another species? And I think he
It's just
agreed
another
with that.
species. So I'm thinking they're more pointing and referring to terrestrial beings. So I sort of had a bit of a play on this last night. So it could be reptilians, it could be dinosaurs, and then someone's like, oh, it could be yowies. It's like yowies, yeah, that could be another good little spin off to that one. You beauty. Like, what the hell could it be? Like, as everyone sort of knows, like we're the only species that's an intelligent species that's us. That's all we know.
That we've been told that we know
We've
of.
been told,
That's
yeah.
right. I mean, it does echoes of the. Yeah, he alluded to pilots of ET craft. I agree. And yeah, Chris, look, it's the insanities are all around us, mate. This is half the problem, isn't it? Right? How is this not the front page news on every newspaper around the world? Is insane,
And I even mentioned this last night too. Australia has not even touched this yet.
No, actually,
nothing from Channel 7, nothing from Channel 9.
No.
Maybe a few new little newspaper articles. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I think, as I say, I'm going to be quoting Grant a little bit tonight because I just got attacked by something. Actually, I should show the listeners that, shouldn't I?
Yes, go on. Yes, show it. It's hilarious. It's spot on.
So in my travels, I found this, people.
Just move it around a little bit. They got a bit of glare happening here and there. That's spot on. Yep, cool. So I think that is spot on to probably what's happened in our history, to be honest.
And I think that's what happened. Yeah. Look, the evidence from that's not thin on the ground, and maybe maybe I can sort of dig into an alternative origin story a little bit later if you like, mate.
Yeah, I've got one too, actually, to add to that too. And yeah, by all means, let's do it.
Yeah, so we'll have a bit of a play with that a little bit later on. I mean, again, I'm going to quote our good mate Grant because he's been at the coalface as well the last couple of years. He's taken that bull and he's ran with it. And he's submitting documents, and he actually got a response from the Royal Air Force, and basically they said the Air Force is not. It's basically a thanks but no thanks, nothing to see here, right? And it's the silence, I think, and Grant said, "Is the Australian government waiting for permission from Big Brother, basically, to enter into the conversation?" But a big part of that was the Five Eyes thing, is that they've had Five Eyes conversations, right? Which is obviously Australia, New Zealand, America, Great Britain, and
Canada.
So they've had meetings about it. So there would have been a representative from Australia there. And, as I say, the stuff about the Westall thing that was covered in the Phenomenon, I've been following Grant's stuff as well. Those guys sell something, right? I mean, how many episodes are you up to now? This is a phenomenon. This is real. You know what I mean? It's Jane's saying she's seen something similar. Oh,
yeah, I think that's with regards to your picture there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. However, yes, it's this phenomenon is real, and we've said it 1,000 times, but it stands true. It's crazy that no one cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Again, no one fucking cares.
Yeah, no one cares, right? It's no one cares. Well, we care. Grant cares. Our listeners care. However,
absolutely.
I think the past few years, notwithstanding, in the cognitive dissonance that we're now all experiencing, pretending it didn't happen, no one wants to get outside their bubble, right? Which is, someone said, what if they are not able to care? I feel like we're being stalked because it's it's just a Facebook user, right?
Yeah,
We're
no,
being trolled.
it's a bit of a glitch in the system. Not really a glitch, but I think they're watching from the Australian UFO sightings page. So because it's a private
Ah,
group, it doesn't show the people who are
who it
commenting
is.
there. But
Yeah,
they also
right.
have to. They should have got a note there in the live stream up the top of the comments there, which should say for them to allow StreamYard to go and use their information to.
Oh, g'day, Paul.
So yeah, Paul, welcome back, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I know you guys care. However, it's one of those things where it's like, how do we come back to the same question when it's like all this evidence keeps coming out. You know, Corbell's been releasing stuff, right? Like, yeah, you drag me back onto the mic, mate, but the research never stops. You know me. I can't help myself, right? And so I've been, you know, keeping up with Corbell's stuff. As I say, I watched The Phenomenon and Moment of Contact. You know, keeping up with some of the podcasts and stuff that I listen to. This is, I think, there's still a fair percentage of the population, right? So, you know, Paul's saying that, yeah, finally we are awake as a population. I think more and more every day, definitely, are coming to that conclusion. However, there's still a fair percentage of the population, and I would say the percentage of population that might be in power does not want to face the ramifications, okay? Because, I mean, if we actually admit that this is real, okay, and, you know, I should have... I think we shared some photos and stuff, right? It's like you know, there's been some very interesting sightings here in Australia, okay, lately, right? It seems like the sightings and these things are going up perceptively. Now, whether that's they're more accepted into the zeitgeist now, I don't know. However, is it the ramifications of actually saying, yes, this is true? You know, like, how is the... and I'll be as diplomatic as I can, how is the religious population going to handle the fact that aliens are real? Right? I mean, this is... how is that going to happen? You know?
Well, it's
then
pretty
what
much going to
kind of
go and
reaction?
cause a bit of a discomfort for them, I suppose. Like, as far as they're aware, they're just only angels and demons. But again, they could be correct in that aspect.
I was going to say, what is an angel and what is a demon, mate? You know, I think the last conversation we had with Grant, we sort of got into that towards the end, didn't we? Right?
Yeah.
Is the stories of angels and demons actually extraterrestrials? Right? I mean, you know,
it depends on how you want to perceive it all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I think the story is the story is the story is the story. You know, and one of the original reasons that we connected is he wanted me to talk about the ancient history and revolve to UFO sightings. And it's going back in cave paintings, man. There's cave paintings here in Australia that are 50,000+ years old that depict what you would say is, as we would understand, as extraterrestrial, you know, the classic big head, big eyes, dish shape, you know, and that's not just here, it's all over the world since forever. So,
Yeah.
you know, what are we talking about, right? And yeah, look, there is millions of contactees, Paul. I think this is the thing, you know, and this is, you know, I think I shared my couple of experiences last time that we were on, you know, like I think people see stuff, you know, and Michelle, I hope they don't eat us. I'd be a bit of a shame. However, well, look, that's a question for Anthony. Which state in Oz has the most sightings, mate? I'd imagine military bases, maybe Pine Gap, maybe Northern Territory. I don't know.
There's a lot. Like, there's a lot of claims of which places have the most sightings there. To be honest, it's right place, right time. To be honest, and depending on who you are, going by the people I've talked to, like it's a really tough one to really sort of give a real straightforward answer to because everyone's got different claims here and there, and I can't give you a straight answer on that one. Sorry. Yeah. You can go to the ones where they claim it to be. I can try and find it for you down the truck there. But again, yeah, like I said, like these are just claims. You might go there, turn up there, and think it's a hotspot, and you see nothing. Go, well, I thought it was a hotspot. So it's like, well, I just wasted my time going here. So again, yeah, it's like right place, right time, or right person, whatever. I don't know, however you want to frame it. So
sorry, guys, I just inhaled my drink. I don't need to be choking in the background.
That's right. It's not as bad as me last night, mate. I was like choking up the storm there, dying live on air.
I'm
not
rusty,
as bad
mate.
tonight, but
I'm rusty, mate. I haven't been on the air for a while.
Yeah, I'm using you to bounce off there, so I'm gonna have a bit of a cough and mute the mic there. Yeah.
Most
So,
contact is a dream state.
mm,
Look, that it's an interesting question. There's an interesting perception. Is it a vibrational thing? I mean, then you're going to start talking about, okay, is it a dream state? Are most maybe sightings are taking place in alternate dimensions? Okay, the problem is that nothing is off the table. Okay, which is a good thing and a bad thing because nothing's off the table. Like, so where do you? Because I mean, yeah, I think some of the ones you're lying in bed and they take you out of the window and all that sort of stuff, right? I mean, that's one of the classic stories. Are you in a dream state there? Yeah, astral contact. Yeah.
mm,
And your sleep state, your rhythm, your beta, delta, alpha, beta, delta, zeta sleep. I think it's a deep sleep. Don't quote me on that one. However, yeah, there's multiple different ways that. Well, yourself, Anthony. You've got how many shows are you in now? Different types of experiences are experienced by different people.
that's right.
So then the question is, so let's go back to the video. Theta. I knew it was something Ada. Thanks, Paul. I think go back to the video where it's like we've got many craft. How many? Many. Okay. So is that one type of craft? Is that two types of craft? Right? Are the tic tacs and the spheres from the same place? Are the discs from the same place? Like the triangle craft, where are they coming from? You know what I mean? Like, is it? We've riffed on this before, man. Is it an alien ant farm? Is that what we're doing? It's so fascinating. However, the problem that we have is, when does it reach critical mass? Right? When does it become undeniable? I think is the question.
Well, that's the thing too, and the biggest question too, like you're saying, like there's all these different models of crafts and shapes and whatnot. And it's like, are they the same one species or is it different species? Like they didn't really mention too much. Like they're just saying that they claim that it's a species that's non-human origin.
Yeah,
So
dead pilots.
didn't really,
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't really put a plural to it. I don't really think. Like they didn't say that they are species, or is it just a non-human species? I don't know. Like I don't know how you want to look at it. It's, but I suppose we've got to really wait till this interview comes out to really go and dive deeper into, or let's try and get a better idea and bigger picture of this instead of speculating on this. Like people are trying to claim he's not credible. He's I'll go back up through the comments here. Like, if you look at, like as we're warming up there, so like, they're claiming he's a misinformation agent. Like, what's it? Basically, the beings exist. Humans are not prepared for the real contact. There is going to be a global meltdown at some point, which is, at some point there probably will be.
Yeah, well, there's that. There's that reel going around at the moment. What is it, Project something or other, where they're authorized to stage a planned UFO attack or something.
Invasion, yeah, the Project Blue Book and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think we discussed this last time too with the Grant.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, where do you go with that? I think, there's the Seven Sisters of the Pleiades. You want to talk about? Jane's tempted me there, right? Don't forget the authorities don't like to acknowledge the Paracas skulls in Peru. DNA is female human and the father DNA is of unknown origin. Yeah, you're pulling on some strings of unlocking the code there, Jane. Absolutely. The elongated heads. And where do you want to go with that? I mean, multiple tribes and cultures around the planet actually used to bind their heads, and a lot in South America, to honor the gods, right? But then there's the Paracas skulls, which are actually larger than ours, right? And that they've actually got red hair still on them, right? And there's hundreds of these things. Look, the question I've got there with the Paracas skulls, and I'm sort of just throwing it out into the ether here, as that I've never heard about a body, right? How tall these people are. Like, I've heard about the skulls, but the actual skeleton and the makeup of the skeleton I've never seen before, which it's, well, and look, see, this is the whole point. Is this a big... with the last 3 years now, money issues, maybe the invasion will push everyone over the edge. Look, me and Anthony, we try to steer away from modern issues when we're on this show, but however, you also can't ignore it, right? the financial pressure that's being put on everybody right now, regardless of who you are, is definitely the next part of the plan. Excuse me. During the chaos, there was this thing. What is the plan? The plan was, do what happened, control them via this, do this, and then when that falls away, economic impact, inflation, blah 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 blah. Right? I used to have that document, but I can't find it. There's that because the 3 years was pretty chaotic, and I saved a lot of stuff, so I don't know where it is. However, are they preparing us for that? I still think that one day, all of a sudden, the US is going to have anti-gravitational vehicles, right? Oh, we created the Space Force. Yeah, we built this. Yeah, they've had it the whole time. You know what I mean? They've finally reverse engineered anti-gravity technology, which anti-gravity technology in itself is a whole nother conversation. I wonder where Grub is. However, that technology isn't as far-fetched as everyone would like to seem, to think that it is. That's a rabbit hole that, look, that bit of study got put on the shelf, and I will pick it back up again. However, like I said before, nothing is off the realms of possibility. This is the issue, right? It's like, it could be everything, it could be nothing, right? And you're totally right. Which is disinformation? Again, we can't talk about Fight Club. However, we just spent 3 years under a psychological operation. Okay, it's hard to deny that now, right? And how much of that was disinformation? You know what I mean? Like, where do you go? And these mechanisms are in place. These mechanisms are in place to insert these things into the public through social media and blah 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 to create these reactions. And I think what we all need to do is just remain open-minded. Okay. The two blokes that are talking to you tonight want to believe everything, right? Okay. We want it, we want to believe. However, you just can't do that. You've got to make sure you cast your objective perspective.
He thinks critical.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to remain thinking critically at all times, because what percentage of it is true? It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, I was going to touch on what Paul's saying. Yeah, transport advice would be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
I was going to touch on what Paul's saying here. Like, with AI technology coming through now, and we're also getting close to the I just lost it now. The computing,
Quantum computing.
Quantum. Thank you. I just don't know why I just had a blank spot then. Yeah, quantum computing. Like, now with that's supposed to be like insanely fast computing. The technology. Like, we're still trying to get an idea of how to maintain it, but once AI gets in touch with that, like, the things are just going to go crazy. Like, I sort of feel like we're going to have a whole Terminator Skynet sort of situation going on here, nearly, with AI taking over everything.
And with art imitating life, do you know that Skynet is a computer chip company in real life?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not joking. That's true.
I know. I've seen it.
Yeah. It's insane.
It makes it even scarier.
Yeah. Did anyone not watch the Terminator? You know what I mean?
It's like the Simpsons. They're predicting the future.
I tell you what, Michelle, remind me about transporters later, okay? Because there could be an argument that there is transporters on this planet. That is actually not that far from the truth. They're not like Star Trek transporters, but is there portals between sacred spaces and sacred spaces on this planet? Yeah, I have.
Oh, yes, we've talked about this in the past. Yes. Yeah. That's a different.
Well, we haven't been on in a while, mate, so I don't know how many people have heard our ramblings in the past.
That's right. So go check it. We've done a segment here, guys, in the past there. What was it? Unlocking the Coded Realms, I think we called it.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So go check that out on the podcast there, guys. You'll find those episodes there, and this is where we basically just go all out on, all speculations and whatever we can sort of think about at the time. They talk about, possibilities and such, like, and ancient technologies, and to whatever. So go check it out.
Well, look, we can, Mars is along the extraterrestrial wavelength. I can chat a little about Mars.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with that sort of thing when we were talking about ancient hybrids or whatever. Your picture back there.
Yeah, well, there is. It's. I'm trying to remember which cultures it are. I'm rusty, man. There's multiple cultures on the planet where their measurement system. It might even be Egypt. The measurement there's measurement systems somewhere in North Africa, somewhere in that region, where the measurement system, if you times it out to 360 to create a globe or a circle, it makes no sense here on Earth. But you put it on Mars and it makes sense, right? And Mars is like a half-peeled orange. I imagine most of your listeners would know that. Most of the people listening would know that. But something, there's that big scorch mark on Mars. Something hit Mars and it exploded. I mean, you want to go
you've listened
back.
to the same thing. Yeah, I know you're going this. You've listened to the same thing I've listened to, and that's where I was going to go with it.
Yeah.
So continue. Sorry, mate. I'll cut you off there. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right, mate. Is there? Have we is there? Look, the Mars stuff. I want you to go where you want to go. Where I was going to go is that there's a lot of photos coming off Mars now, and look, very critical. I've got a very critical eye. Okay, for every 50 photos where everyone goes, yeah, look at this, it's awesome. There's maybe 2 or 3 that I'll go, there's ruins on Mars. Okay, there was a thing that came through some of the groups that I'm in a little while ago now, where there was a perfectly triangular door in the side of a mountain on Mars, right? Which just doesn't make any sense. And I remember it came through one of our groups, didn't it? Because we were sending it out, and it's it's real. Okay, there's interesting stuff coming off here, but we don't have to go that far afield, mate. I mean, if we were an advanced species in the past, and if we achieved space flight and all that sort of stuff, where would you go first? Where would the base be? On the moon, right? And the moon is weird in itself, mate. Where were you going to go with the Mars thing? Because I'm curious, because I don't think we were on the same page there.
I think we are on the same page, mate, because I've listened to the same. I think it was a TikTok there. The missus sort of put me onto it, and they were going through with, well, what if we weren't really from Earth to begin with? What if we actually originate from Mars, because our bodies are different to the sense of how we are developed here? Like, we're not designed, our backs and all sorts of stuff, spinals. We're not designed for this sort of gravity or something like, our skin's not designed for the sun and all sorts of stuff. I'm trying to find the video there so I can share it up, but
we're not designed for this planet, right? We're not designed for this planet. That's an interesting thing. I mean, that's the hybrid stuff. Like, there's the alternative, there's the origin theory. There's the Palladian story. Okay. Well, actually, let me cover the portals then while you're trying to find something. So this is a story that I've told before. However, when I was 16, which was just the other day, right? No. 16, 17, I used to live in Arnhem Land or Northern Territory, and I got to spend some time deep in Indigenous territory. I was invited onto Indigenous land because I used to play footy with these guys, and they invited me onto their land. We went crabbing. There's a whole other big story. But anyway, second night we were there, the quintessential old Indigenous man with the big beard and the red thing around his head and the pretty much a loincloth comes wandering out of the scrub somewhere and joins us at our fire. And he was answering questions. And one of the questions I asked him as a naive, 17-year-old was, why didn't the Indigenous invent the wheel? Why didn't they do transport? And he looks at me matter of factly, he goes, 2 reasons. He goes, number 1, we like walking. We like attaching ourselves to the earth. And it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? Very Yoda-esque, right? And then he said, and secondly, if we go from place to place, we need to go to sacred place, we just go through the rocks. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, in the Kimberleys somewhere, right, basically you walk through a cave, right, say it's 50 meters long, you walk through a cave in the Kimberleys and you pop out the Grampians, right? And he just said it like it was a matter of fact. There was no, like that is what it is, right? And there is somewhere in South Australia, somewhere in South Australia, northwest South Australia, somewhere there's a national park, and this is happening to this day, where you go to this park and you go for a walk, and you end up in Western Australia somewhere, like 300 k's from where you're supposed to be, to the point where the farmers there no, it happens on a semi-regular basis. They find random backpackers or bushwalkers in their paddocks, and they're like, "Oh, you're in XX National Park, weren't you?" And they're like, "Yeah." "Oh, well, come in, have a sleep. We'll take you back in the morning." And they've been transported hundreds of kilometers in minutes, right? So, we're getting into we're having a different discussion now about what has this planet been? What has the species on this planet been? What has the history of this planet been? Where is our technology, and what types of technology have we reached in the past? Okay. I know Anthony agrees that, once upon a time we were part of an advanced ancient civilization. Okay. I would say Graham Hancock's one of the main people for that. However, here at Unlocking the Code, that's one of the big parts of the research we've looked into. And the evidence is overwhelming that once upon a time we were advanced prior to the cataclysm. And where did we get to, right? The survivors of that, who are they, right? Is that us? Okay. Where'd Anthony go? He's just there.
Yeah, I tinkered. I found
Yes,
a new thing I can do.
You ran it. I thought you just abandoned me, man. I'm like, oh no.
And you buy.
Now I'm carrying the whole thing.
Yeah. No, I found a new button I can do. I was like, ooh.
Oh, buttons, right?
Yeah. I'm tinkering.
Yeah. Don't give us the suitcase, right? Don't hit the red button. No, we better hit. We got to hit it. No, we got to hit
the button. Yeah. It's a button. You got to press it.
Yeah. How do we know what it does, man, if we don't press it? You know what I mean?
There's no signs there saying don't press it. Even if it says don't press it, you're going to press it.
Well, actually, speaking of press it, don't press it, I was interested to hear the going back to the original video that we started tonight with, that press release, right? How specific they were. We have found no evidence of advanced retrieval spacecraft, blah, 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 blah. Like, that was incredibly specific. They did not have to be that specific.
That's my little skit that I threw together. I had to go and really point that out when I had to go and break it up, go, all right, that's a perfect moment, split that there and add that in there and double it up and go, yep, we have not found technology. And it's like,
yeah. We have not found technology. There is no evidence. Neurolinguistic psychosis. We have not found technology.
Yeah, it sort of makes you wonder. Like, I'm trying to keep it, objective on both sides here, coming from him coming out being a whistleblower, and then Kirkpatrick saying what, like, they found nothing, and it makes you wonder, like, is Aero being read into any of this stuff here, or has it been hidden away from these guys there, so they can't come out public with anything that they to say they have found something that's sort of a ET origin or something that could defy our physics. So that's the big question there. Like, what are they being read into or being able to investigate into? Because so far, it's just everything's really minor sort of evidence that they've been given to go and sort of share with us. So it makes it like it's stuff that's easily to analyze and work out. Like Mick West, like I'm a bit of a fan of Mick West, the way he does things. Of course, he's like on the other side of the fence. He's trying to like not jump to the conclusion that everyone else is like us, we're trying to be like, oh, woohoo, yeah, aliens are here. But he's making sure, the military is credible and everything that they share. So he gives the evidence, he gives the, what the sensors they are using, the methods behind it. He breaks it right down. Like he's an incredible guy. So that people give him a lot of discredit because of what he does. But I sort of feel like he needs to be given a lot more credible highlight for what he does.
Look, yes and no, but Mick West did try and didn't he try and discount the TikTok video?
Which is pretty much spot on as well. I quite agree with him. It's a parallax effect with the objects that they're seeing. Same as the effect is at the one that's in Afghanistan, that little shiny ball. That's another parallax effect. What the object is, though, that's the next question. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest question of it all.
Mm.
But when they're trying to say like the media ran on this as well, saying this object it's flying over the top of the ground here, you can see it's zooming through when it's probably not even moving at all. It's just a parallax effect from the drone flying around, and it's just the camera's locked onto it, and as the drone is moving, it's trying to perspectives. It's rolling around it basically. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's hard. It's sort of hard to like.
It's a hard one, man. You know what I mean?
It is.
Because I can see what you're saying, right? And I understand what you're saying. However, how do we discount? I mean, some of the stuff Corbell's been releasing is pretty profound. Where do you go with that, right?
You referring to the ones with the flares recently, or the
Yeah,
climbing
there was the
flares?
flare one. There was the triangle one. There was a couple of those ball ones somewhere in the Ukraine.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's been a few where it's like,
Mm.
how do you explain that? What do you? And I think, and it comes back to what I said before. Is it the fact that it's so out of the realms of theoretical possibility that we want to dismiss everything about it, right? Because look, I love the Encounters Down Under page, but geez, there's some interesting conversations about some of those sightings. Whereas I would have, there's been probably half a dozen where everyone's been very, very critical. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think that is something. And it's like, but everyone, what's the difference between critical thinking and dismissing absolutely everything? That's the question as well.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's hard to get that balance as well because
Yeah.
like there's so much bullshit on the internet these days. There,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll admit it myself. That I'm probably the most damaged person I can think of when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'll pretty much dismiss everything when I see it and like go, nah, it can't be real. It's too good to be real, or there's probably a more logical explanation behind it. And it's not to say I'm going to try and dismiss everyone. It's just that I'm too quick to sort of try and analyze it
Jaded.
and dismiss
You're
it.
jaded, mate. You're jaded.
Yeah, I'm very jaded.
Yeah. That's okay.
And
And there's reason for that.
yeah, and it's because the internet is just creates so much bullshit.
Mm.
And like I want people to be found credible in what they're sharing and what they've encountered. And like I would love to be able to say that what they've seen is of something that's substantial nature beyond all our reasoning. But sometimes there's a lot of stuff that is people just don't understand what they are looking at. I've mentioned this many times throughout the episodes. People need to go and do a bit of their own analysis and a bit of critical thinking behind what they're seeing instead of jumping to the conclusion that it is something phenomenal in that nature. But unless they've literally seen it go and zip in from one end of the sky, or there is a triangular craft or something that is hovering that can't, defies our aeronautical capabilities, it's something in that sort of nature. But again, you got
So
to be critical.
a question for you, mate, then. Because I've got a few of your episodes caught up in the bank, but I haven't listened. There's a couple I really want to listen to. Of late, what has been, let's take away, let's leave the everything's bullshit in the basket for a second, okay? What is something that you've learned or an episode that you've had or done recently that has shifted your perspective back into, without a doubt, these things are real? Is there anything of late? Because we haven't spoken in a little while. So is there anything that you, what's something? Or is there anything?
Look deep down, I know there's no bullshit there. I know there's something there. So to be honest, I really haven't really dismissed anyone or anything, or like particularly guests in that nature. It's just more like the stuff that I might see through the scrolling through Facebook and all that sort of stuff. But like probably one thing that's really stands out at the moment, like it's one of the episodes that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks there with Mick. What he's claimed throughout his lifetime there, like his body's nearly invulnerable. As stupid as it sounds, not to say stupid, as
Ridiculous as it sounds, yeah.
ridiculous, yeah. You wouldn't think it's a real thing, but the way he explains things, but you can read his body language. He's not lying. He's not trying to gain anything out of this. And then it wasn't until like a second, or actually when I ended that episode there with him, I had a bit of a chat offline with him. And it wasn't until our second episode there where we talked about this even more. It opened up a bigger picture on what his life was entailing. Like, his whole life story leading up to this moment here, going, right, there is something happening here. There is I know there's other people who have claimed that they can talk to beings and all this sort of stuff and all that sort of stuff. And like that's fine. Like it still sounds ridiculous, but these people, I can't doubt these people on their claims. I have no reason to because I can't prove it any different. So I'm not going to judge them any less than anyone else in that regard. But as I was going on with Mick, like he mentioned that this being came at the window and said, "What are you doing here?" Like he has a bit of shit going on and all sorts of stuff. I won't bust the episode up too much.
Don't give it away too much. No.
But his body language, like, and I've had like other people in the episode on the show as well, where they're talking, like you're hearing their voices, everything, like there's no bullshit behind this.
No. No.
Like unless I'm not paying actors to go and do this shit. I don't have the money to go and do this. So they're definitely not actors by any means, and they're not getting any benefits out of this. I'm not paying them. They're all doing this all voluntary out of their own will, like on their own good heart, to go and sort of open up and
just to share their story. Yeah,
share their story and produce the reality that is actually out there. Something is out there that's happening.
Oh, it's
and that's what frustrates me. With the governments, we have to rely on the governments for the disclosure.
Yeah, look, I know I had an experience like that here in the refinery with a couple of boys that had a Yowie experience. And I was pretty skeptical with those boys when they came into the studio. However, being here in the room with them and as I say, in the room, watching their body language, listening to them tell the story. And the thing is, I can't remember what episode it is now, but if you go back and listen to it, they saw something. They were both there. They both believed they saw something. They heard something. It's like, wow. I mean, that's a good example too. So with the Yowie thing, when I had that podcast, I was on a bit of a Yowie bent, and I threw it at a few, because what I like doing, I like conducting social experiments, Anthony. So I throw different subjects at different people, right, that I know that I don't think will join the conversation. And I was doing a bit of dirt work, spinning around in excavators and stuff. And the blokes I was working with, old cow cockies and, hard blokes. And I told them, oh, yeah, look, I did this podcast about this Yowie. We're just having lunch. And the older dude there, he goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I know. They're definitely out there. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, yeah, absolutely. He goes, I used to be a ranger, running the horse, a jackaroo, running the horses up and down through the outback Queensland. And like there was this spot where if you went straight through, you'd save 3 days, right? But they would purposely go around this big, massive spot, this big bit of forest, right? And it was just, no, you do not go through there. You're not allowed. Like the horses wouldn't go through there. No one would go through there. And you would rather add 3 days to the trip than go through this spot. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've seen stuff. They're definitely out there for sure. And again, matter of factly, like it's not a lie, not stirring. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Right. And I think a lot of these experiences are the same. It's like, it was like the Min Min light that I shared with you, with your listeners last time. That happened. Yeah. Right. 2:00 in the morning, we had a light shone on our car for the best part of 15 minutes. And it was super bright and it followed us and never get closer, never got further away. And as soon as we acknowledged its presence, within a minute, it was gone. Right. However, that happened. Right. And I don't know what to tell you. Like it's, and there's no reason for me to lie about that. Right. So,
yeah,
it's interesting, man. And I think, do you think, like, with your experience, here's a question for you. With your experience in your show, do you think that certain people have a proclivity to this? Because I mean, there seems to be, like, some people seem to see more than others, right? And I wonder when if you want to go back to the old alien and the monkey, is there a level of, because everybody has their gifts, man. You know what I mean? Everyone has the things that they are good at. That's your special gift, whatever it is. And look, obviously a percentage of, there's a lot of charlatanism in spirituality and UFOs and blah, 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 right? But, as you know, here at the UTC, we go on the 1% rule, right? What if 1% is true?
Mhm. Yep.
And that's fair enough, I think. Like if all the stories you hear, what if 1% of the people that claim to have that ability and claim to have that power is actually true? And I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's like a certain proclivity for some people? I mean,
Absolutely. I've mentioned this many times throughout the podcast. So, why are so many people able to see these things where others can't? Like even there could be like a completely populated area, like say like Sydney, the Gold Coast, Brisbane, wherever you want to be. Like there's hundreds of thousands of people surrounding this one spot, and yet maybe this one person can see it, or like there could be like a handful of people in the area that could see it, but the rest of the whole population can't see it at all.
yeah.
I've tried a little dabble a little bit on it, and I got put onto it. I mentioned this before, tetrachromacy, which is like
Oh, yes, yes.
and whether that plays a part on it. So people who don't know what tetrachromacy is, it's basically like you're seeing extra colors that normal people can't see. Is only found in women, and throughout my studies, I've sort of noticed like women are a lot more accustomed to seeing these things. Like they seem more prevalent in seeing, like say like a
So
ghosts
do
or
you?
like
So how
paranormal
far did you get
nature.
in? How far did you get into that research, man? Is it? Do you reckon maybe there's a different part of the light spectrum, or
It has to be something
that's?
like I haven't really dived too much into it deeper because I just haven't had time. It's
It's
sort
in
of run
my
away on me.
notes. It's in my notes. I know it's in here from one of the last times we did an episode, right?
Yeah,
That's the problem,
I
man.
want to
There's
dive
so
into it
many rabbit
deeper.
holes. There's so many
Yeah,
rabbit
like
holes.
it could definitely be like a different light spectrum, and like it's going to be hard to sort of really try and dive into it unless you start talking to people that work with optometry and all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
Then you guys are trying to approach them and going, "Hey, look, are you talking to people about their eyesight who might have tetrachromacy? Are
Hmm.
they seeing aliens and UFOs or
Yeah.
ghosts more than what this person?" It's going to sound a bit
Are these
weird.
guys seeing into another dimension that we don't see?
Yeah,
And
and it's like, how like do
and
you bring
again,
that up?
but that's subjective as well, isn't it? Right? I mean,
Exactly.
how do you know? Jane's saying it's to do with the cones in your eyes. It would do, yeah. It'd
Exactly, yeah, that's
something to do with the receptors and your ability to
that's
perceive
right.
color and space and time. Yeah. I mean, as amazing as the human eye is, we literally don't see 99% of what's going on around us, right?
Yeah.
The light spectrum and the hertz that we can actually see versus what is actually available, it's something like less than 1% or just over 1% is all we
Mm.
see. So, who knows what's going on? We could, all sorts of things could be going on around us and we don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, yeah, I mean that dude went on national television and said we are not alone.
Mm.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And how do they deal with that? Like how does that? How do you, even for those of us that are believers, how do you deal with that? Right?
Yeah.
Where do you put that in your process? And what does that mean? What does that mean? Then the other question is the reverse engineering stuff, right? How much of our technology is reverse engineered from extraterrestrial or wherever it is spacecraft?
Yeah,
Right?
and this is something we've spoken about before in the past too. Like I sort of feel like it's come from Roswell sort of time. We sort of boomed up a bit from that. Like you can go from wherever you want to go from, really. But to
Well,
me, I
it's
sort of feel like
interesting. It's interesting from Roswell to about 1958 or 9. The next big thing was going to be anti-gravity technology. All of a sudden,
mm,
right? And you can
way
go
to go.
back and you can look back in newspapers and stuff like that and actually see that.
Yeah,
I did a multiple part episode on Otis Carr, which is, for you guys here, encounters and UTs or the UTC guys might have listened to it already. If you haven't, go back. It's a couple of years ago, but Otis Carr, there's 2 or 3 episodes, and I reckon, judging by the information and the research that I did, he built a UFO and flew it, right, using designs from Tesla and himself. And the technology and the way to actually do that is, I think me and Grub said, give us the resources. Someone give us some money and we'll build you a UFO.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were talking about crowdfunding to make a UFO.
Yeah.
I'm still in that dream, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone wants to give us a heap of copper and magnets and stuff, and enough
I'm
money
pretty sure there's a guy down in Brisbane there who had a actual proper frame for like a playground sort of UFO thing in there up for sale on the buy and sells.
Oh, right.
That's gonna be a great start. We'll go and jump off of that. Use that the framework. We'll start building.
Yeah, there you go. There's our disc. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
Well, weirdly enough, on the Brisbane Valley Highway, there's a guy that's got a UFO on a pole in his front yard, and I've often thought about knocking on the door and going, "What's with the UFO on a pole in your front yard, man?" You know what I mean? Like,
should do it.
What's going on there? I should do that, shouldn't I?
Go there with a camera and a microphone, mate. What's this UFO about? I get up in his face.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Go to a country
What do you know?
property. Yeah,
what do you
go
know?
to a country property with a camera and a microphone. It probably wouldn't work out so well, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether that's a good idea, but
well, you're pretty safe because it's not America. They're not going to be coming out with double barrel shotgun at your face. Well, potentially could be because of farm.
Yeah, I was going to say double barrel. Yeah, I was going to say that's entirely possible. I mean, look, but I think have you seen Moment of Contact yet? Have you seen?
No, I've been really bad with documentaries, like because it's not that I don't want to watch them. There's part of me like goes like they're just going to be repeating the same bullshit over and over again.
Moment of Contact.
So I've been a bit hesitant, but I know I should be keeping up with it.
Moment of Contact, please, everybody. Look, give James Fox his $15. Honestly, you can. Last time we watched it about a month ago now, but it was on YouTube Premium. Moment of Contact. So, spoiler alert, right? However, long story short, in Brazil somewhere, a UFO crash landed, and they basically got live beings, and live beings were running through the city. And it's the same thing, right? As I say, that's not doing justice. You need to watch it. It's me and my wife were like, what? Seriously? There was a UFO that crashed. Aliens got out. They retrieved bodies. Like all this weird stuff happened. And again, it's like an entire town that saw it, right? It's not like one person here to one person here. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows. It was in 1997. It was only, 30 years ago. That's a little depressing to say. 25 years ago, whatever it was, right?
Isn't it?
It is a bit, yeah. However, it happened, right? Which means a lot of the people that saw it are still alive. They talked to surgeons. They X-rayed these things. There was all this stuff. The US turned up and took everything away. Like it's like a Hollywood story. However, the cover-up was so effective and so quick, and it's just some small town in South America that, yeah, as I say, you're looking for your next UFO documentary, I would recommend that to everybody and just pay the money. It's worth it.
But you know what I had about this whole outcome of that whole Brazilian thing there?
Yeah.
Americans had to come in and fuck it up. America coming in to save the motherfucking day, yeah.
Fuck yeah, America. But
like,
well,
why?
Well, they are the preeminent superpower, man. This is the thing. Post World War II, it has been decided that.
Yes,
really?
Michelle. Yes, Michelle. I've got that video that will be coming up very shortly. This is one of those things I'll be bringing up very shortly.
Oh well, don't shortly is too far away, mate. Bring it up now.
Hang on, sorry, I did have it there somewhere. Now, hang on, I've got a couple of things here lined up. I've got trying to like sort of slip in and try and roll.
Well, then just tell me to shut up and play.
That's all right, mate. We're just rolling. I just roll with shit. I don't organize stuff.
No mistakes, guys. No mistakes.
Well, anyway, this is to go off a little bit off topic here. Now, if you remember when we had the UFO hearing there, I think it was in May. I think it was, or it might have been a bit earlier. I can't remember. There's one of those hearings there where if you remember this Sheila here, I don't know if you can see this Sheila.
Draft of non-human origin for at least several decades.
Just stop there for a minute. So she came up there. They had some questions there from the press there not long ago. This is when there's like they had a bit of a joke about aliens.
Yes, yeah, they were pretty dismissive. Yeah.
yeah, I brought that up last time. They had a bit of a joke and like, oh, if it was aliens, haha, yep, here's ET, phone home, blah blah blah. And then an actual reporter asked, "Would you tell us?" But because everyone was too busy laughing and
Yes.
carrying on,
Yeah.
the question
No,
got missed completely.
yeah,
But
no one
listeners, if you
answered that.
haven't seen this one before, so I'll play this.
Craft of non-human origin for at least several decades.
President's leadership
Oops,
and
hang on,
what he's
sorry,
been
my
able to
little
do with his
cut.
team, and I think that's
So
incredibly
just gives a
important.
minute.
Good, Steve.
Real quick though, this whistleblower report alleging that the U.S. military has been retrieving craft of non-human origin for at least several decades. Are we alone? And if we were not, would you even tell us?
I would refer that question to the Department of Defense and let them answer that question for you.
How good is that? Someone else's problem.
Geez, that was rehearsed, wasn't it?
Oh, pass the ball. Yep. Thank you very much. Next question.
Yeah. Well, interesting. You're talking about like Department of Defense and stuff. And again, I'm stealing Grant's work. Go to the Unexplained Rundown on YouTube. He was trying because he's trying to get FOIA and Freedom of Information stuff out of the Australian government. And there's a big long list of things that are exempt from FOIA. And guess what? ASIO's on that list. The geospatial intelligence is on that list. Defense securities is on that list. Basically, every single department that we need to get information out of from Freedom of Information stuff is on that list. You know, and there's no need to apologize, Michelle. There's no plan. You know,
Like I said, we roll with it.
Yeah. And look, the thing is, me and Anthony, we've chatted offline. We went to Lake Mondura. You know what I mean? Like there's a bit of history. It's okay.
All right, so I've just got this up here. I'm probably going to get an ad straight up. Yes, which I do. So just, guys, give me get this video up. It's a new one.
Oh, geez, you get YouTube Premium, mate. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
no,
I'm budget here.
Well, it's, we're both multi-million-dollar podcasters, mate, isn't that?
Oh, that's right. Oh, no, I lost that one. Yes, that's gone. Yeah, I know. Making millions here. I can quit my job finally. You beauty.
Yeah.
Righto. Okay, so let's go to this one here. See if it's going to work. And all right, so I'll throw that on the big screen there for you. Now, I won't say anything. I'll let you play the video.
Just let it play.
Run down. Yep.
It is the police call everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now. And tonight, our David Sharns with the video you will only see on 8 News Now. David?
Right, Denise, sources telling the 8 News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Okay.
Well, the 8 News Now investigators obtaining video as officers then responded to the call you just heard. You'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
Leave her alone.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Someone calls 911 reporting 2 large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm so nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star. Then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or
they see like a big? That's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into
Yeah,
the
we
back.
can hear it.
But Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear, they're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever or whoever fell into that yard, long gone within minutes.
Oh, hey, if those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
So yeah, this is quite weird, Brian was saying as we're watching this story. Now, we've been in contact with the family in that video, and as you heard in that 911 call, they seem very reasonable and honestly quite scared as you heard them in the call. No, they don't seem impaired in any way. And whatever crashed by the time that police got there was gone, but sources say that there's really no dispute. Something was in their yard. Exactly what? We do not know.
I mean, it's so interesting. So like the Metro officer sees something, the neighbor sees something. I mean, so what could it be?
Well, we know that there are obviously a lot of military bases around this area. George Knapp covers a lot of that stuff for us on the 80s Now Investigators. We're showing you drone video from above that area. And we know, of course, Creech not far away, Nellis Air Force Base not far. I checked in with them. They say they are not involved at all. And we are waiting to hear from the Pentagon as well.
And you talked to these people. It seemed completely legitimate to you. And do you have any personal thoughts on maybe what it was?
Right. So it seems from talking to our sources that something happened. There was obviously some flash in the sky. A lot of people saw it that night on the night of April 30th, early in the morning on May 1st. Did that exact thing land in their yard? I don't know. But these people said they saw some SUV circling the area. Could this have been some piece of equipment that malfunctioned? Maybe they saw something and then someone came. I can't believe we're talking about this.
Right.
Someone came and retrieved it from the backyard in the SUV. We don't know. This all comes as a former high-level intelligence officer, a veteran, was on News Nation talking about how there is a program where the government collects some unidentified objects. So this might be that. We just don't know. We're going to work to find out, though.
And
Brian
no
Brady.
substances. They were looking with clear eyes.
Very interesting.
Not big buggy eyes, though.
This is really unique. Thank you, David.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I agree with Michelle. That was not drone footage. That looked like some sort of Google Earth type thing. That was definitely computer generated. And where was the yard? Did it crash in? Look like a laydown yard. Looked like it.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, it did. And if that is actually the house itself that they claim it to be, it's a fairly decent sized property where something's going to crash into.
And did it take off again? Like there's a big part of that missing, right? I mean, what did these people say that there's 9-foot beings in their backyard? Something's crashed into the backyard. Did it take off again? What did it do? I mean, there seems to be, for Channel 8 News investigators, they didn't really tie that up in a bow real well, did they?
No, that's right. And sure, there's going to be someone's going to have like a CCTV camera there. And hang on a second, I've got my slave here. Oh, sorry, my personal assistant, I should say. That's bringing me a nice cup of tea here because I'm $1 million podcaster here. I can afford to get a personal assistant. She ran off to me. I shouldn't like that. Sorry, guys.
Don't be mean to your missus. That's not very nice, mate.
I like teasing. It's good.
But yeah, listen, that's interesting. I mean, and all the Air Force bases surrounding that. That's the other big question. Are they already in cahoots? You know what I mean? I'll never ring the authorities, you reckon, Jane? Yeah, that's a fair call. I mean, but what do you do then? And it's like we sit here and talk about this and we discuss it and stuff. It's like, what would you do? If I've got a fairly decent yard. If I looked out the back, I was, getting a cup of tea or something, and there's a UFO that's crashed in the backyard. And there's 9-foot tall being standing next to it. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
How would you handle
Not much
that?
you can do. But again, like surely someone would have had a camera there, or someone would have got their phone out to start trying to take pictures or video footage of this. Like it depends if there's the only person home. I don't know, but like there's got to be
Yeah,
some sort of
exactly.
footage here or something.
Run and take the
Gotta be.
ship, you reckon, Chris? Just crash tackle him.
Yeah.
Old-fashioned spear tackle.
That'll work. We've got him by the ankles.
Well, I think. Well, Jane's going to ring you.
I'll see what I can do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll try something.
Look, I think there's one of the classic stories of that the Christopher Mellon thing. Christopher Mellon went. Is it Christopher Mellon? Is he the guy that went missing for 3 days or whatever it was?
Oh no, that's
not Christopher Mellon. You know the guy I'm talking about, though.
I know,
The guy with the mustache.
Chris Nolan, I think. Is it? I don't know.
No, it's not that. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
One of the greatest lines in UTC podcast history by Angus was, right, because we were discussing it. Because the story goes that this UFO crashed and this logging crew was there, and they went up to have a look at it, and we were sitting here discussing in the refinery. It's like, yeah, boys will be boys. Someone said for sure, go and touch that UFO. You won't fucking touch. I'll touch it, mate. Don't you worry about that. For sure, that dude bum rushed that UFO. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I'll touch it.
You won't touch it. You're scared.
Travis
Walton,
thank you. But yes, yeah, for sure. Travis Walton bum rushed that UFO to touch it because no one said that he would.
Yeah.
He disappeared for 3 days. Yeah. Well, Pixar, it didn't happen. You deny Pix all the time. You know what I mean?
I know. Well,
I need a finger. Give me a finger, right?
That's right.
But yeah, you would think in 2023, like that. Yeah, cool. That little 5-minute skit was interesting. However, in 2023, no one got their phone out. No one hit record. No one, you know. And look, they said, "Did you see something?" Oh, I saw 10-foot tall dudes. What did you do? I would have stared there. Like, where's the rest of it? Like there, and then that leads into, were they told that they could report on it to that point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And in comes the conspiracies.
Yeah, that's right. And then, as the report said, there was classic the black SUVs, circling the block or whatever, like. But again, that's a persistent story. Like the Men in Black thing is a persistent story as well. I mean, the Westall people talk about the Men in Black from the 60s. That's another persistent story. You see something of a significant nature, and within a couple of days, you get a knock on the door and told to shut up. And look, I like the story. I'm interested, but where's the rest of the footage?
Yeah,
because for sure someone took a photo.
Yeah, as Chris says, they're not showing it all as like usual. It seems pretty spot on.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's another side to that. There's another side to that, for sure. That is not, if they just spent weeks investigating that, then go back to the drawing board. What happened? Because it's like, oh, what's your personal thoughts? Oh, it could be anything. Where's as I say, someone got their phone out and took a photo. Someone got their phone out and took a video.
Yeah, had to.
Right? Where's the TikTok? You know what I mean? Where's the real? Like, for sure that happened.
That's gotta be.
And so
I'm hoping someone bloody grabbed the phone, the footage, and ran with it. Like, just pissed off with it instead of hanging around. Because, they're definitely going to come and go, hey, what footage you got? Give it here.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean. Like, where's the...
I'm hoping they ran off with it.
And look, I agree with Chris. You know what I mean? They didn't really show the property. I agree with Michelle. The drone footage didn't look real. Like there's whilst it's an interesting story, there's immediately half a dozen holes there.
And because it's private property, they blacked it out, but yet they can show apparent drone footage of the actual property.
Like it's a weird one, But again, it's another tile on the mirror ball, Anthony. It's another piece of information where it's like, what are we doing? He's if that's made, whatever, it must look like morning TV or whatever it is in America, But again, the silence is deafening from down under, right?
Yep.
However, the silence is deafening from down under about many, many, many things, man. That's the other issue that we have, right? And it makes you wonder who who is Big Brother, basically, is my question.
I'm pointing at America straight up. It's their fault.
So what else you got for us, mate? Is that the last of your little videos, or what are you doing?
No. So if you want to go back to the whole the civilization from Mars theory, there, if you want to dive back
Oh,
into
yeah,
that.
yeah. Go on.
Yeah,
Go
so
on. Show us.
I'll show this video there, guys, and just give me a moment. I've got to go and do my little clicky buttons here again.
Yeah, look,
And
I do agree with Michelle. It's like it seems to be like there is a softening, right? It's like keep inserting these stories into the zeitgeist, and it. I mean, there's another theory about a lot of the movies of late. How many space alien movies have there been there? You know, the whole Marvel universe and people from other universes and dimensions and blah 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 blah. You know, is that all part of the story as well? It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question.
Is indeed. All right, I'm going to see if this works. It's not a proper full screen, unfortunately, but we'll go with that. And I'll add this one here if you guys can see this. And I'm going to click play and enjoy. Goes for about 6 minutes there, guys. So, oh, hang on, I'm going to turn this up. Shit. Oh, no.
Dr. Ellen Silver.
Start that again. Sorry, guys.
No mistakes, guys. No
December
mistakes.
20th, 2013. Noted ecologist Dr. Ellen Silver publishes his book, Humans Are Not From Earth. In it, he proposes that humans possess a multitude of physical vulnerabilities, such as slower childhood development, a heightened susceptibility to illness, spinal problems, and difficulty giving birth. He concludes that they most likely evolved on another planet.
There are a lot of indications that mankind, the human race, actually did not evolve on the planet Earth. For one thing, you know, if we go out in the sun too long, we get sunburn. And that doesn't make a lot of sense unless the conditions on planet Earth have changed very dramatically in the last few thousand years. You have to wear sunglasses outdoors. That also indicates that our eyes are not properly adapted to the planet.
Some recent studies in sports medicine have shown us that the human body creates two types of fat. One isn't a good type of fat, and the other one is. And interestingly enough, studies show that if you bring the temperature down to about 67 degrees Fahrenheit, you create the good fat and not the bad fat. Near the equator on Mars, in the summertime, it's about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that's Mars today with very little atmosphere. Imagine in the past where Mars had an atmosphere, the average temperature on the surface might be around 67 degrees.
Another factor is that when astronauts actually go into space, their circadian rhythms, their body clocks change from 24-hour days to a 24.9-hour day. And that happens to be the exact rotational period of a single day on the planet Mars. Given the fact that our body clocks are tuned to the planet Mars, not to the planet Earth, that indicates to me that we actually came here from there.
While the notion that humans could have originated on the lifeless barren surface of Mars may sound far-fetched, scientists are now certain that in the distant past, the red planet was once blue and boasting a more robust atmosphere.
One of the most fantastic things that we've discovered with our orbiters and our rovers on Mars is about its history. And a number of really spectacular surprises have come out. The first one is that Mars at one time in its past looked more like the Earth. It was a blue ocean world with a significant amount of water.
We know for a fact that billions of years ago, when we were first getting started here on Earth, then Mars was a much more clement place. We know that it had a thick atmosphere to shield and blanket the planet. And it would have had organic molecules, the building blocks of all life as we know it. So it stands to reason that maybe Mars had its own genesis, its own origin of life.
If the human species was genetically engineered by extraterrestrials, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, is it possible that it was designed for the environmental conditions of its original home on Mars? And if so, what might have caused our ancient ancestors to come to Earth so many years ago?
And at some point, billions of years ago, Mars it suffered a kind of environmental catastrophe. Its atmosphere started bleeding away into outer space because it had no magnetic field to help shield the planet.
Some have suggested that at some point, Mars had an atmosphere, and due to some cataclysmic events on Mars, the Martians had to find a new home within our solar system, and they came to Earth. So what if we are the Martians?
In 1976, author and researcher Zecharia Sitchin proposed that a 12th planet once existed in our solar system just beyond Mars that was somehow destroyed. Although his declaration was based on his study of ancient Sumerian texts, it was largely dismissed by the academic community, who thought the idea absurd. But recent physical evidence has come to light that may prove Sitchin more correct than even he believed possible. October 7th, 2008. An 80-ton asteroid enters the Earth's atmosphere and explodes 23 miles above the Nubian Desert in Sudan. That day, an estimated 600 meteorites literally showered the landscape. But when examined, the meteorites were found to contain something incredible: diamonds. They also contained something else, evidence that they came from what scientists now believe to have been a lost planet in our solar system, one which was destroyed thousands of years ago.
The asteroid belt in our solar system, it's a strange thing, and some have suggested that these are the remnants of a planet that exploded at some point, and the inhabitants of that planet either went to Mars or they came to Earth. I am convinced that the reason why there is such a huge fascination with space travel is because that's where we come from.
Wow. Okay. And that does lend into a fair bit of stuff that we've done here at UTC. The Sitchin's work with the Sumerian tablets is definitely there. And yeah, his interpretation of the Sumerian tablets is that there was some sort of galactic battle, the planet in between Mars and Jupiter, I think, where the asteroid belt exists, exploded. And yeah, that we fled from Mars to here, from here to Mars. If you believe the Anunnaki story, that there is another, there was an outpost on Mars at some point, and there's a little bit of evidence to suggest that is true. There is Planet X, or depending on where your belief system sits, Nibiru, which they've basically proven exists. They just can't identify it. There is something that causes our solar system to wobble. And yeah, the Sitchin text suggested, and also not just the Sitchin text, but you got to remember he's translating Sumerian texts, okay? And people like to pick apart Sitchin, but no one spent the time that he spent trying to translate them. So it's like you can cherry pick the things that he might have got wrong or right, but there's some interesting tablets from the Sumerians talking about different planets, talking about different, 12 planets, 11 planets. And theoretically, this Planet X, we'll just call it Planet X to not trigger people, is on a big elongated orbit. And there's an interesting concept around that too, right? Whether that actually is part of the eternal cycle of the planet. It comes around every 26,000 years as the cycle of the equinox completes its journey, which we are at the end of as well. That's the other, that's one of the other things we've spoken about before, is that we are at the end of many, many cycles. However, further to that research, and it hasn't come to me since, the problem with doing over 200 plus episodes and every other stuff that I've done is I can't remember everything, man. But on one of the episodes, we did talk about the measurement system. Part of the measurement system that exists in some of the cultures here on the planet doesn't suit this planet. It suits Mars. What's your thoughts on that, watching that again?
Yeah, look, like I try not to jump to conclusions or speculations, but like it seems pretty feasible, I should say, like to say the least. I'll show this up again. Like they're finding weird stuff on Mars, whether it is real evidence from Mars with the rovers and all sorts of stuff. And I'll just bring this up again so we can build that up. Hang on, is that working? No, hang on. Do that button too. There you go. So, talking about Mars, where we're coming from. This
Yeah,
sort of
there you
stuff.
go. There's the door. Yeah, there's the door.
Like, it
Yeah.
looks too clean to be.
It's been cut. It's been cut for sure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there's, as I say, out of the hundreds of photos that I've looked at that have come out of Mars, there's probably 10 or 15 where it does look like it's collapsed structures. It does look like there is, Mars had something on it at some point. And again, even if we just thinking about, okay, let's leave the where did we come from? Even if we just went from, we were an advanced civilization here and we were bouncing through the solar system, first you'd go to the moon and then you go to Mars. Now, where do we want to? We want to go to the moon, then we want to go to Mars, right? I mean, this is we won't go back to the moon. I mean, look, the moon's a whole nother thing. I did an episode on the moon.
We've been to the moon before. I mean, we've never been to the moon.
Don't start that.
I got my cup of tea, by the way.
Oh, that's good, mate. I did an episode with Loomis from the Chan It Down podcast on the moon late last year. It's a very good episode. We did a fair bit of background research. There's many different theories. However, what is the obsession with Mars? You know what I mean? What is the human race has these weird obsessions that sort of lend to Summer Sitchin's work, and Mars is one of those things, right? What is our obsession with Mars, right? What is our obsession with gold, right? Why are we obsessed with gold? Gold is, it never changes and stuff, but it's weird, right? And we have a weird reaction to gold. As I say,
shiny, really.
Well, no, gold is something different, right? So I'll tell you my experience with gold. I mean, I did a lot of. I spent a fair amount of time back in the FIFO days working on gold mines, both here in Australia and in Papua New Guinea, and I was privileged enough to see a couple of gold bars poured at the end of the process, right? Number one, the gold pourer guy that I met that had been doing it for a long time was from the might have been from Ukraine, Eastern Bloc states somewhere. And he was nuts because all he did was pour gold, right? They call it gold fever. And I'll be honest, man, and I'm not a big gold wearer. If I wear jewelry, it's generally silver or not gold. I just don't wear gold. It doesn't really interest me. However, I tell you what, man, seeing that gold bar poured, I was like, oh, my precious. You know what I mean? There was something weird about it. Like, because I don't really like gold. It's like, what am I doing? Like, there was a weird, I need it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's like, I need it. And I don't know whether the car's got there yet. That's a good question.
I don't even know where the car's gone. Like, where was it supposed to go?
They shot it off somewhere.
In the comments here, sorry. Michelle's in the comments here. Where's the car gone? She's referring to Elon Musk's car that he sent off into space.
He sent the Tesla into space. Yeah, look, Elon's a whole nother kettle of fish. I know he went on the JRE a couple of times.
I was supposed to go to Mars. Should have
I was
arrived.
supposed to. Don't know. Depends how fast it was going. Yeah, look, I think Elon Musk. Yeah, go on, find out. Where's Jamie? Where's our assistant? The Elon Musk does know more, right? The fact that he poignantly said on the JRE if aliens and stuff existed, I think I'd know, and laughed it off. Again, why do you say that? Right? I mean, surely if he's the preeminent space contractor to the US government and the Department of Defense and blah, 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 yeah, he knows more than he's letting on, right? I mean, as I say, my prediction is in the next little while, we're going to have a jump, like a leap in engine technology, whether that be 0-point generator, whether that be electromagnetic generated, whether that be pulse engines or, perfecting the scramjet or take your pick. I predict that in the very near future, we're going to have a massive advancement in propulsion if the UAP stuff doesn't come out before then, right? But yeah, are we from Mars? I don't know, right? Where's the car? Can we find where the car is?
Somewhat. Again, a bit of mixed answers here. It says the car is not expected to get closer to another planet until 2035 before making 2 passes within a few million kilometers of Earth in 2047 and 2050. So by sounds, we're all going to be dead by the time it makes it to Mars.
2047 is not that long away, mate. I mean, hopefully I'm still around. It's only 20 years away. Come on, mate. We're not that old.
I'm only halfway to death anyway, so I'm not going to make it. I don't know if I want to live long enough to go and see what's going to work out in this world. You know?
Well, what else have you got, mate? We've been at this for about an hour and a half. What else have you got?
Yeah, we've been killing it. Look, there's a lot of things like, look, we haven't touched on NASA coming into the UFO topic.
Some say the car is fake. Yeah. Look, that's an interesting question. The problem is, how do we diplomatically talk about this? The growing number of people that think the Earth is on a turtle's back floating through the universe and it's flat has gained a lot of traction in the last few years for some reason. And the reality is that most of the photos that we see of Earth are not one single photo. They are stitched together from many different photos, right?
Or CGI.
CGI, right? So that's, is the car fake? Look, I don't know. Elon Musk is pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Like no one else is landing rockets vertically on a pad in the middle of the ocean. So I reckon he did it. But yeah, the footage from the car and all that sort of stuff. I mean, again, we're getting into blurry territory where it's like supposedly we went to the moon in 1969, but we can't go back, right? And supposedly the president of the USA talked to the people while they're on the moon. Yet, I had Wi-Fi trouble earlier today. You know what I mean? Like it's, but at the same time, we are talking together, 6 or 7 hours apart to people all over the world. So it's an interesting one. What else you got for us, mate? What else you got?
Yeah, so I mentioned before, as we got on the top of the car there, we haven't talked about NASA from your point of view. Jumping into the topic of the UFOs, starting to investigate into them.
Well,
so
look,
what are your
I
thoughts
think
on NASA?
they
NASA
had
finally
to.
Jumping in.
Well, they had to, didn't they? I think I wonder about the amount of segregation, right? It is entirely possible, as far as I see it, that NASA is a completely separate part of the government. And maybe they don't know about the black projects. Maybe they don't know about the UAP, UFO stuff. However, there's been that many. I mean, we forget too that whilst, yes, the UAP task force and all these people analyze thousands and thousands of cases and dismiss most of them, the ones that they didn't dismiss number in the hundreds, right? So, like I said, the old 1% rule, right? Yeah, sure, we looked at 10,000, but 100 were true, right? That's 100 of these cases are truly true. And they can't dismiss some of this stuff anymore. And again, I reckon, like there'll be a massive jump in technology, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I looked at Christopher's comment there. He's talking about Elon. Look, I don't know, man. It's who's part of the 1% super elite, the people that are obviously running the world, and this is the other point too. And I don't want to get too conspiratorial, and we can't talk about Fight Club. However, it's pretty bloody clear that it's either bureaucrats or major corporations that run the planet and that are controlling pretty much everything. So, who is in control, and are we just being spoon-fed, teaspoons of sugar to keep us interested? You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot to it. Like, you can always speculate and things there. In the end, we're not really going to know the truth until they actually go and really come forward with whatever evidence they have. but
Yeah.
NASA have never come with forward anything.
No, but they had to. I mean, don't they run most of the space observatories?
Yeah.
One of my weird stories about UFO, UAP stuff, and I don't know, actually, might have been after the last time we spoke. I don't know if I've told you this, man. Many years ago, in the mid 2000s, it was basically when they had the camera on the ISS, right? And you could, it was in the early days of YouTube, I think. You could log in and you could actually watch the ISS feed pretty much live, right? And I remember I had a couple of screens set up in my office. I was, doing some oil and gas stuff, and I was watching when some weird ship approached the ISS. Like it was a weird looking triangular type ship, and then feed cut out, right? And I was literally watching it when that happened. So it's like, what is real, right? I mean,
That's right.
the Black Knight satellite is one of those things that is constantly forever brought up, and there's some pretty interesting photos of that, or supposed footage of that. Is that a remnants of an ancient technology, right? Or is it, again, are we an alien ant farm? Are we some big science experiment, right? That's another question,
Yeah. And, like, people are always claiming, like, NASA's faking stuff all the time. Like you said, like, they bring up fake footage of the Earth and all sorts of stuff. There's been videos there of astronauts on the space station. They're fake behind green screen stuff, because you see them pulling on cables and stuff as it's spinning around. Or
yeah, there's some weird stuff about that, eh? Like, they're standing there
like,
supposedly floating in space, and then someone drops something and it just falls to the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the videos there. So if people haven't found them, I'm trying to, like, bring it up. I can't seem to find the exact footage. But, like, it makes you question, though, like, and like you said, like, they cut feed from the live space station feed.
Yeah, I
And it's
remember
like,
that. I remember that. I remember that. It was. I was asked another. I think I guessed it on another show, and I had a flashback. It's like, yeah, I remember. That's exactly right. But the problem is, too, Anthony, is that it's actually quite clear that NASA has been faking photos. Okay, there's been, again, let's just take the 1% rule. 1% of the people that have come out and said that they used to fake photos for NASA. Earth Ancients is another podcast by Cliff Dunning. He's an interesting guy. He's got an interesting voice. However, he's got very good guests, and he's had a fair few guests on about they would doctor photos. They doctored photos from the moon. They doctored photos from Mars. There's a whole department somewhere within the great big mechanism that doctors photos before they get to the light of day. And you've got the problem with the moon footage from back in the day is it looks fake. A lot of it does look fake. And then, there's all sorts of stuff about those guys as well. I think, who's the only one left? Is it Buzz Aldrin? He had some more cryptic stuff to say a little while
Yeah,
ago.
I think there's a question there. Like, there's little girls asked him. I don't know if that's true or not, but the little girls asked him, like, "Oh, what was it like being on the moon?" And he's like turning around, "Oh, what do you mean? I've never been to the moon." I don't know if you've seen that little video there. It's like one of those little feeds that you come across Facebook there at some point.
Yeah,
It's like, is that real?
Buzz Aldrin has said some really cryptic stuff over the years. Like, you have a normal conversation, then you go, "Oh yeah, there was aliens on the moon." Then you just keep going, right? He just sort of slots these things into weird conversations. I mean, Neil Armstrong's an interesting one as well, because he should have been America's sweetheart, and he basically, first man on the moon, blah 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 blah. He came back, and after his initial interviews, no one heard anything from him for years, and basically he died a quiet death as an old man, from what I can remember. There's weird stuff, and again, the photos that we get of Earth, they're composite. That's the word I was looking for. They're composites. So it's like, where do you go? Mate. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that they said that they can't get back to the moon as well because they lost
exactly.
It's like
bullshit. It's total. It's like that's not true, right? I mean, why haven't we been back? If for nothing else, the capitalistic, materialistic, narcissistic psychopaths that that run the world, why aren't we mining the moon? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we mining the moon? You know, there's exotic minerals on there. There's exotic things on there. And again, you want to go to Mars. Why would you go from Earth? You're using 2/3 of the fuel to break the atmosphere of Earth.
Mm.
If we had a base on the moon,
that's right.
It's 1/3 of the gravity, right?
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
look. Just want to, the way their hair flows. Just some of the questions here. Yeah, NASA has lost credibility. Look, I can't disagree with some of the stuff.
Mm.
And look, Michelle's totally right. Is there truth in it? There's a good question. Yeah, I agree with you, Mick. Yeah, I don't agree with how I don't agree with the treatment of Mrs. Goodall. But that's fine. Who knows if they still might be living below the surface on Mars and the moon. I will add Earth into that, Jane, because the
definitely
other thing
Earth
is,
as well. Mm-hmm.
right, where do all the Tic Tacs go? Where are all these things spotted? Where there's a percentage and a type of these vehicles, the only place they are spotted is over the ocean, right? And the bottom line is we know more about our near-Earth space than we do about our own oceans. We've got no idea what is under the ocean, okay? I do like that Mars video as well. It's interesting, the neuro-linguistic programming. That dude's voice, like that's the classic documentary voice, right? You listen to him, it's like, oh, he's got a very authoritative voice. And it's like, people say a lot of this stuff just matter of fact. Oh, this is true and that is true. And they're singular statements in a 6-minute TikTok. We don't know, like a lot of the things those guys said, we know this, we know that. At unlocking the code, probably the only thing that I have truly learned to be true is that pretty much anything that is said to be true, most of it is built on a bed of bullshit, or it's very thin, right? When some of these professionals make these grand statements, if you actually dig into what they're saying, there's not a lot underneath the surface. You know what I mean? But talking of underneath the surface, I am very easily convinced that, well, here's something, Jane, all right? Talking about underneath the surface of the Earth and for everybody else. Let's pretend for a second that there has been a civilization that's existed on this planet for X hundred thousands of years, okay? Now, supposedly in the last 160,000 years, 12,800 years ago was a cataclysmic event that basically killed 75% of all life above, all mammals, all beings, all animals, right? But in the last 155,000 years, there's been extinction level or semi-extinction level events, something around 30 or 40 times, okay, in the last couple of 100,000 years. How many of those would you go through before you figured out that under the ocean was a bit more stable place to be? I mean, we've all been to the beach, right? And when there's big 6-foot waves on the surface, you dive down. How deep do you dive down? It's perfectly calm.
Yeah.
2 feet. You know what I mean? Not even.
Yeah.
Right. All the stuff that you see on Hollywood with arrows and with bullets in particular through the water, that's a total lie. Mm-hmm. Right. Water will stop a 50 caliber bullet point blank within like 3 feet. Okay. The Mythbusters did that one back in the day. Under the water is much more stable than the surface of this planet, under the mantle, in the core. I mean, they just recently found oceans underneath the mantle that they never thought existed. They just recently found voids. There's a cave in Vietnam that has its own atmosphere and it has its own rainforest and its own everything. This thing is ginormous, right? And it was spotted. Some guy was just standing on the other side of the valley, saw a hole, just a small cave on the other side of the valley. They went in there, and this thing's 30 kilometers deep, and it's got massive caverns and its own rainforest, and animals live in there. And how many of those exist on this planet that we've got no idea about, right? And one of the other folk tales or fairy tales that persists through every culture is people coming from under the earth, right? There's even a story. It's in North America. What are they called? Is it the Hopi? The Hopi. I'm dragging stuff up. But anyway, long story short, the ant people came up and grabbed the tribe that was near the Hopi tribe. I'm pretty sure I'm right here, right? So they called them the ant people because they lived underground. And they came up and said, hey, cataclysm's coming, come with us, we will protect you. And they took the people underground, and the cataclysm came, and then X amount of time later, they let them back up to the surface, said, good luck. And that is their origin story, right? That is what, as far as they're concerned, what happened. And when you start digging into the species differences on the planet, not as Homo sapiens sapien, there's variations of us. However, there seems to be like Floriensis. There's this weird tribe in Asia somewhere that literally doesn't look like us. And their origin story is that they crash landed, and they've got all these weird discs. What is that? Is this? No, it's not.
Oh, we're talking about this before.
Yeah,
we were in Nepal or something like that.
Somewhere in there. But they got all these weird discs that look like records.
Yeah.
And no one knows how to read them or what they are, or their origin story is they crash landed on Earth. Right, that's their origin story. And in our modern world, we just go, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, it's
because we don't have the evidence for them. Like, there's nothing really to really connect them to us, I suppose. So our civilizations to really give them any credibility. And again, it's just like all secondhand information, like everything else we've been getting handed.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, I think there's a cognitive dissonance. I think modern society has made us think that we're smarter than we are, and we're not as smart as we think we are. Right. Yeah. And we like to pretend that we know when we don't. Okay. I mean, the bottom line of all of this, man, and we might tie it up in a bow in the next by about 10:30, I reckon.
Yep.
However, the bottom line with all this, Anthony, is we've been talking for the last hour and 46 minutes. We've seen some very profound things. We've had some awesome people contribute. Thank you very much to everyone that's contributed tonight. It's really cool to do these live ones and get the questions and comments from the listeners and watchers. I think that's awesome. However, the bottom line is none of us know anything, right? Or here's what I say, right? So whatever screen you're watching this on now, okay, imagine that one pixel of your screen is what you think you know, right? The actual knowledge you do have is every other pixel. The actual knowledge available to you is the entirety of the screen, right? That is how much, we've waxed lyrical for how many hours now on this sort of stuff, but we still don't know much, man. We
barely touched the surface.
Yeah. Michelle, earthquakes. Yeah. The fact that there's earthquakes happening in Australia is concerning. I find that highly concerning because there was a time where I spent a lot of time on tectonic plates and the whole Pangea and trying to fit it all together, which it doesn't fit together real well. There's a whole different conversation there. It looks like it does, but it doesn't.
Because we're not on a tectonic plate, are we?
No,
we're
we
on
are.
Our own. We're on our own.
We are on our own plate. Okay.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the Great Dividing Range that runs up the east coast of Australia was once a fault line. It was once a tectonic plate.
Yeah.
There is many, many, many volcanoes in Australia that they term dormant. Okay. Here's another one of these things, right? What does dormant actually mean? Dormant means we don't know when it went off last time.
Yeah.
It's not that it's never going to go off again. It's just that
unlikely.
As far as we can see, it's never gone off recently. Right. It's like
it's
dormant's another one of those words where it's like, oh, look, we don't really know, but we're going to say a fancy word and everyone's going to go, oh yeah, it's dormant.
It's sleeping.
Yeah, it's sleeping basically. But yeah, no, the earthquakes are concerning, right? I mean, and it's not really something we've had to deal with here in Australia. I was in a couple of earthquakes in PNG. They're very disconcerting. When the ground just starts shaking, it's not a cool thing. But yeah, they are very disconcerting. And Michelle, as far as underground tunnels are concerned, there's another. There's a short cast. You'd have to check the back catalogue of UTC, but I've done a bit of research on the tunnels. Long story short, there is tunnels that theoretically range from basically Africa to Europe or South America all the way up to Canada. Okay. Yeah, Michael's got a good point there. I'll come back to that in a second. But yeah, there is tunnels that connect underground from the Mediterranean to the UK, basically. You could go the tunnel systems that are found outside Turkey, multi-level tunnel systems and all that sort of stuff. And the interesting thing about those tunnel systems is how did they light the inside of those multi-level tunnels?
Yeah.
How did
What
they
about
light?
oxygen and stuff like, like breathing?
Exactly. Oh, look, see, people are just trying to provoke us, mate. This is what's
They
going
are.
on.
Look at this. Antarctica's getting brought up. Stop it.
So Michael said Eastern Australia is volcanic. Everything is waking up because of the sun. Seems it's only going to get worse because of the magnetic poles are in the midst of reversing. Yes. Disturbingly, actually, here we go. Here's one I prepared earlier. Here is the globe, okay?
Yeah, that's meant to be flat.
Yeah, sorry. I'll squish it down. So here's the geomagnetic poles here, right? Theoretically, right? But the geomagnetic poles, I thought that they were twisting. Okay, so here's Antarctica. I thought the poles were coming. The pole was going towards Australia, and then that was going this way, right? It was turning like that. They're not. The poles are converging, right? So the one's moving up towards Australia, and the other one's coming down. So they're doing that, which is a big fucking problem, okay? Because if you have the magnetic poles converging on one side of the planet, that leaves a big gap in the magnetic field. It's very concerning, and it's happened, right? It's happened. And the thing about the magnetic poles as well, you would have noticed that the part of the climate change stuff, they've given up on the ice. The ice is melting. The ice is melting. You know, that was a big thing.
Yeah, I don't know much of that. Yeah.
That's because the ice isn't fucking melting, man. Okay. The ice
more
chases
freezing.
the poles. The ice chases the poles. Okay. So, those in our southern states, I don't know if anyone's, me and Anthony are in Queensland. I don't know if anyone in our southern states, but have you noticed your winter's getting longer over the last few years? Right? Getting a bit colder, getting a bit drier. Right? That's because the pole is coming towards you and the ice chases the poles. The ice is growing where the pole is moving in both poles, and it's
so
breaking
Australia's
away.
going to be the new Antarctica, basically. Oh, no, you think that?
Yeah.
My assistant's bringing me some chocolate now.
that you be nice to her, okay? How's your bub, by the way, mate? Is he
going good? She's going good. Yeah, no, she's going great. I just heard her before they're having a crack, and the lovely wife here attended to her.
Yeah.
And she's being very mean to me at the moment. If you could see her right now.
You deserve it. You deserve it, man. You deserve what's going on.
Yeah, I do deserve it. I deserve everything I get. I do.
You tell her that we're sticking up for her, all right? You tell her that.
Yeah, they're on your side, by the way, just so you know.
Michelle, look, we can't Antarctica. Yeah, that's not for tonight. However, was Antarctica once free of ice? Yes, it was. All right. Was Antarctica once free of ice? Yes, it was. Do some of the ancient cultures talk about a great land to the south? Yeah, they do. Was that great land Australia? Maybe. But could it have been Antarctica? Maybe. There's some very interesting maps out there. The Piri Reis map, the Buash, I can't even say that right, Buak or Buash map. There's a number of different maps that show Antarctica or a coastland of Antarctica in it. And as the ice has receded onto the different sides of Antarctica, trees have been revealed, right? So is there pyramids in Antarctica? That's another conversation. Why can't we go there? Why can't we fly over there? You know what I mean? Because here's our little ball, right? So if you wanted to go, say we're in, where's Australia? Say we're in Melbourne, and you wanted to go to, South America, the quickest way is to go underneath, right? But we can't do that. Can't fly over Antarctica for some reason. Yeah. That's hilarious. Look, the weather pattern is changing, Michael. I mean, and again, we can't talk about Fight Club and everything to do with that. I mean, how much of that is engineering and how much of that is the magnetic pole shifting? I think what everybody needs to understand is that these times that we exist in, we are at the end of a cycle in many different ways. Okay. That's great. That's comment of the night. Everyone's been really good, but that's well played, Nick. I'll give it to you. We are at the end of many cycles, guys. Okay, we are at the end of the equinox cycle. We are currently transitioning the age of Aquarius, right? Where that line is an interesting question. I don't think we died in 2012, but the sun disk, the Aztec calendar, isn't actually. That was reanalyzed many years ago by an archaeoastronomer, a anthropologist. Basically, a group of different skills got together, and they determined that the Aztec sun calendar was not actually November 2012 when we're all supposed to die. No, it's the end of a cycle, okay? And the end of that cycle is 1960 to 2040-ish, right? And basically the message of that sun calendar is look to the sky in your times, okay? We could then go to Göbekli Tepe, where some of the representation on Pillar 43, if you could look above, the stars are basically exactly the same. Now, Pillar 43 is representing when the last cataclysm came. Okay, we're sort of like we're in the middle of the cycle, right, and we're coming to the end of that cycle. And historically, many different ancient cultures speak about great change, and is that, do the elites know that? And are they making their play? Or, like there's so many conspiratorial theories. But the reality is, like some of the alignments in the sky that we've seen over the last 3 years, the last time that happened was during the fall of the Roman Empire. Now, is that coincidental? Or is that, what our galactic environment, what does that do? How does that actually truly affect us? I mean, it's like, oh no, it's all bullshit. Yeah, cool. Go to an emergency department on a full moon and talk to me about it. Okay. We're in a galactic environment that affects us more than we think. In fact, we're about to, in the next week or so, make our first pass through the Taurid media stream. Okay. So twice a year in June, next week or so, in June and in the end of October, early November, we pass through the Taurid media stream. It takes about 15 days to pass through it. It's about 30,000 kilometers wide. And I'll steal Graham Hancock's quote. He's the best one. He's like, twice a year, we put a blindfold on and we walk across a 6-lane highway hoping there's no trucks coming the other way. And interestingly, so when I started the research, or when I started the podcast, 7 years ago now, the amount of money that was spent on trying to identify near-Earth objects was the equivalent of what it takes to run a McDonald's every year. Okay, so it wasn't much. In the last 7 years, the money that's been put into trying to identify asteroids and near-Earth objects as like times 10 or times 20. Like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of research. And why? Why all of a sudden are we monitoring, these near-Earth objects? And the thing is too, like that, the 80-ton meteorite that, the Sahara got peppered. I was keeping an eye on it for a little while. I think it was last year, between January and June last year. The number of objects that pass between us and the moon, which you think about in a space sense is a near miss, right? It was something like 40 or 50, and most of them were bigger than a bus, and most of them weren't seen until they'd gone past us, right? Now, the other thing is, too, is like, there's the Sudan thing. There was the thing in Russia not that long ago. But every year, multiple objects slam into the ocean, right? But they just haven't hit a city. Like, these are city-killing objects that slam into the ocean in the middle of nowhere. And no one cares, right? Because it doesn't hit a city. That's a concern as well, But yeah, it's weird times, guys. It's weird times.
But think about that too, though. If we've got these objects falling in the oceans and whatnot, and haven't hit a city yet, like the odds are quite high for a meteor to go and hit a city.
Yeah.
Like the way residential areas, like we're quite populated in a lot of, like I know Earth's quite vast, but the odds of all these objects coming from space and that and hitting a
Well, they
civilization of some
estimate
sort, you know,
that
like surely.
the last independent study I saw on the Taurid meteor stream, which is the one we're about to pass through, I think it was estimated there's still thousands of objects that are over a kilometre wide.
Oh, okay.
Thousands. Some of them are like 10 kilometres wide.
That's a deal breaker.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a bad day.
Yep.
You know, yeah. I mean, and all these things exist, right? I mean, and if anything else, it's actually quite odd that we've had a pretty stable period for the last 13,000 years. If you look at it from a timeline point of view. That being said, though, we did have a mini ice age in the 600s. And yeah, for the Aussie listeners, I believe there's actually a short episode called Double Impact. It's a few years ago now. That the mini ice age that basically assisted the fall of the Roman Empire, and you know, it's recorded in tree rings and stuff, was actually a double impact that happened in the Gulf of Carpentaria. And there's actually stories, indigenous stories, and stuff like that to actually lend credence to that. However, that paper was never released, which is interesting. What's Michael saying? We'll tidy it up. We'll finish it up, guys. They're looking for something. Yeah, that's a fair point there, Michael. Do we have the technology to stop it, even if we knew? And I think,
which I don't think we do. I think we're pretty much stuffed either way. They can try and send missiles and that, but I don't think they're very effective in space.
No, Bruce. Unfortunately, Bruce Willis is too old now.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, he's nearly gone.
Yeah,
poor bastard.
We can't send Brucey. But look, I think the thing is, guys, is that it's those of us that have an open mind and open perspective feel like it's really weird times. All right. I suppose if I had a message to finish off, it is weird times, guys. Okay. And we're not alone. All the weirdness that you are feeling and that you are experiencing is real. And just keep digging, keep being open-minded. And Anthony got me back on the microphone. He dragged me out of the off the bench, and
your little corner you were hiding in.
Yeah, I was. Oh, look, I was. I honestly was, and I do appreciate it, man, because I've really enjoyed tonight, and it, you know, talking with, you know, seeing all the comments from the people, and you know, getting their questions and stuff. This is the reason we do this, man.
Yeah, look, it gives you a buzz there, interacting with people, doesn't it? It really makes you like, look, this is really worthwhile doing. Like, you can sit there and talk to someone, and like you can go over and drone over things here and there, but when you start interacting with the people in the comments and that, it just makes it so much more enjoyable. And
Absolutely,
can't appreciate it. People joining enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, the Lucifer telescope. You guys, you just keep poking us, don't you?
But look, I'm going to finish this up on a weird one. Yeah, for everyone to go and think on. So we've got claims of a non-human species, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's to say this non-human species is not the dark shadow government that's been looking after us all these years behind their government lines, you know? Pulling the puppet strings. Well, now they're ready to come out and admit that they exist.
Well, The Simpsons already predicted that, man. You know what I mean?
In which episode is that?
I don't remember. They stood there. It was like the Grogan thing, and they pulled the mask off and went, "It's us. We've been here the whole time."
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you know, Matt Groening's obviously from the future, so
definitely got to be.
Yeah, he's got way too many things right. Look, you know, I mean, you want to talk about the stories about shutting down nuclear weapons, and have they diverted asteroids that are coming this way? I mean,
well, that's right.
Like we said earlier, man, the problem with this stuff is that anything is possible, and that can either be very scary, it can be very freeing, it can, you know, there's good and bad things to everything. However, yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks Anthony. Good to catch up, man. And
it's been great, mate.
We'll definitely do this again. I think, I wouldn't mind getting a copy of this so I can chuck it on the feed.
Absolutely, mate. Look, mate, tell everyone where they can find you, where they want to listen to you, and all sorts of stuff, and where they can get in contact if they want to find you.
Yeah, look, as I say, I have been on hiatus the last few months. However, I did release an episode on the Ark of the Covenant not too long ago with Loomis. That's a really cool episode. It's interesting. It's a bit of a not too much, but there's a lot, but not a lot with the Ark. Talk about advanced technology, ancient alien technology. I think that's true. That the Ark, that is what it is. However, unlocking the code, Spotify. I've got 10,000 videos that I need to upload to YouTube that I haven't done. But it's all audio on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. Follow the page, Unlocking the Code. I will be re-engaging with the research. It's actually been quite fascinating, Anthony, where I sort of stepped back and thought, maybe am I done? Everybody keeps popping out of the thing and like, come and look at this trip. We need you to look at this. I want you to come on here. So, thank you very much for that. And it's been cool, man. Thank you. But Unlocking the Code everywhere, guys. Check it out. The core part of my research and the reason Anthony got in touch with me and the reason we started talking is I'm really a part of the Advanced Ancient Megalith Society, standing stones and stuff. And for those that don't know, we actually had a Stonehenge here in Australia. We actually have standing stones all over this country that no one wants to talk about. And a core part of my research is trying to reveal that story. So thanks very much, man. Appreciate it.
No, that's awesome, man. No, thank you very much, Lee. So, all right, I'll click some buttons here.
Click some buttons?
Yeah, click some buttons and do this little doohickey there and voila. Look, thanks, guys, there. Appreciate it. Triff coming on there. Like, sometimes you do have to go and step back from this sort of thing there and get a bit of re-energize and sort of get a bit of a broader look at the picture and what we actually do here. And it can be quite tiring to the body and the soul and that. And so it is good to go and step back and have a bit of a good little re-energize.
I'm going to interrupt you there because Jane keeps poking me. Unfortunately, Rex passed away. He was quite sick, and he's passed away not too long ago. There's a guy that used to handle his research and stuff, and I have been trying to reach out to him. What's his name? I can't remember his name. But there's a guy that was Rex's right-hand man and got all his videos and all that sort of stuff and the Uru and all that sort of stuff. And I've been trying to get in touch with that guy, but I'm also very sensitive about the fact that Rex only passed away not too long ago. However, Rex's videos, he is on Facebook, but his posts aren't shareable and he doesn't like responding to messages. I've tried to get in touch with Rex and his counterpart for a couple of years now, because he's got some very fascinating work, and he did a lot of he walked the walk. You know what I mean? He was Indiana Jones of Australia. He went everywhere, Rex's work is very, very good. Look it up on YouTube. I've got 100 videos in the queue that I need to watch of Rex's, because I've been on probably 10 field trips so far up and down the East Coast, looking at some different things. The story of Australia is one that needs to be told. So anyway, sorry, say your goodbyes, mate. I just have to say,
you're right, mate.
Yeah, rest in peace, Rex. Honestly, man, he did some really valuable work.
It is marvelous stuff he's done. Look, guys, you know where to find us. We're all on the socials, the Spotify's and whatnots and YouTubes and that. And be sure to go and share our podcasts out there with all your friends and family who might be interested in the whole thing there. But I'm not going to go on a tangent too much there. Everyone's getting tired and cranky, I suppose, and leave you to it. So till next time, guys, I'll let you know when the next live stream will be, and we'll talk then. And look forward to seeing you in the comments there. So, all right, guys, till next time, and all the best. Catch you later. And that will do it, folks, for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the show. And don't forget, if you or someone you know has had an encounter, please get in touch with me to be featured on the podcast. If you're a fan of the show, you can support the podcast by purchasing some awesome merchandise that's available on our online store via the link provided in the episode description. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Encounter Down Under. Hooroo!